Okay, we're down to fighting weight tonight, and my thought is to review what think has happened and what we think is going to happen, or we would like to see happen. And if we get four opinions here, then we're going to be down to an executive talking to us on how he perceives things that have happened. So, who wants to kick off?
I have three things actually on my
Okay.
little
Okay.
mental
Go for it.
list.
Yeah.
You have more than I have.
Just yeah. But I could change it to two if I had to.
Okay.
I would like to see us continue to keep in the forefront the pothole list that we have been discussing and kind of adding to. Um, just so we keep that out there, that these are the more serious places, at least in our judgment,
Mhm.
that we would like to see addressed, and then hopefully as those are addressed, we can get a report back, and the public as well will know that because it just seems like things have come to us to kind of a halt.
Yeah.
And some things seem to be going backwards instead of forwards. And so, just keeping people updated through the newspaper or to whatever, however else. So that would be number one on my little list. Number two, we had talked as we are looking now, our next capital improvement time is 2023. We've already passed through the 2022, submitted that list. And we had talked about reaching out to those organizations or entities that routinely use our streets. Sending a letter, perhaps, to the fire department, police department, post office, school bus, ambulance, folks that are regularly, routinely using our streets, asking them to, if they wanted to, be purely voluntary, to send us a street or two that they have encountered. So at some point, we would need to kind of identify who are those groups, who do we want to send that invitation to. Now, this doesn't mean that no one else can contribute. Obviously, they can, but I thought it would be helpful if those who use the streets routinely might have, I just thought trolley driver maybe. I mean, they might have a little bit more insight. And then last, and Ralph, you've done a great job as chairman, but I think the term for the chairperson place is up.
Yeah.
I think.
I
think it's been a year.
It's been a year.
Gary,
Hi, Gary.
He can sit over here by me. I took a shower a couple days ago.
Obviously, our organization is absolutely worthless unless something gets accomplished.
Yeah.
I think we need to kick around number two.
Okay.
And the one thing, and I know that it's rolled out recently, is the app. And is it an app? Is that
Yes,
what it is?
it's an app.
Yeah, there's an app that the public can use to report things like potholes. And so the one thing I guess we could say is I would encourage people to use that. Because it's out there. I mean, it's available to everyone. So I think people should be using that app. I know that there was somebody, of course, Facebook is what it is. And most people take there to gripe, not to, give attaboys. But, someone had turned in something on that app and it had already been, somebody had come and spoke to them about it. So if that continues, then I think it's a great thing.
And that's, what are you saying now? I'm not getting it.
There's an app, and I can't remember the name of the app. I know that Allie would.
C-Click Fix.
C-Click Fix, yeah.
Yeah, so that's an application where people can go on and report concerns about the city. One of those concerns could be potholes, issues with the street lights, etc. And as we build that system up, the idea is that it would help our staff efficiently manage those things. but also create a report like what he's mentioning, that at some point we'll have a full list of here are all the potholes in the city that we need to work our way through.
Well, how long has it been in place?
About 2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Brand's
Is it
making
getting
news.
results?
It is certainly getting results.
Okay.
I know, like I said, I've seen people who have posted that they sent in something and that they have heard from someone. I think one of them was in regard to an alley situation. And, you know, I think there was another one that was like maybe mowing. I don't remember, but I've seen people, because like I said, let's face it, no one goes on there and go, you know, somebody came by today and fixed the pothole in front of my house. Nobody's gonna put that. So, but anyway, that app is available and people.
Brian, are you saying that we don't need to send letters out to any of these other?
Oh, I think it's still a great idea. I'm just saying, I didn't know that if you guys were aware of the app
Yeah,
too.
yeah, yeah.
So, but no, I think it's a great idea because those people are out on the streets every day. They see
That
it.
would be the
I mean-
difference between, you know, an individual person contacting through the app.
Mhm.
Although who knows, if it's a bad pothole, there might be 10 people to contact, right?
Mhm.
Or they talk to their neighbors. But I just thought those who would routinely use the streets,
Right.
you know, would know, and maybe not even, maybe beyond the pothole part, maybe even looking into the 2023, the capital improvement
Sure.
piece of it. And we wouldn't be bound, certainly commission's not bound, but at least would give us some additional input from folks. And
Yeah, because, well, like you're saying, you know, they drive these routes, they drive streets that we don't drive. I mean, I'm sure Ralph and yourself and all of us here, your route to work, you probably know where every single pothole is or what street you avoid. So you're right. I mean, and the ambulance drivers, the police department, those people are out there, they're seeing streets we never drive down. I think it's a great idea.
How do people find out about this app?
I think it was in the newspaper.
One time will not be enough, though.
It's been in the newspaper, on the radio, on social media, so we're working to get that information out there.
Yeah,
Just a couple weeks in.
Okay.
it's like I said, it's very new.
But you need to call them on their crank telephones.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh, okay. Well, Gary, we were trying to go around the table and just kind of review where we are, what ideas we might think of what's coming up. We've had so much intervening here with the 4th of July and blown up fingers and things like that. Maybe we're moving a little bit slow. But do you have any brainstorms for us from the Jayhawk
No, I
corner?
thought we were off to a good beginning. We got the first round accepted, right, by the city on our recommendations. So now we're working on the next year. I don't know where we are on as far as getting people trained on how to repair the brick streets, which I think is still a big concern.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't lose any more and we can upgrade the ones we have. I think that's
We got
something.
one of our 3 highest ranking employees sitting back there behind us who's going to talk to us a little bit about it in a little bit. Well, how about you, Mr. Bodybuilder? You with your muscle, you could probably pick up all the bricks.
No, I buy smaller shirts, so I just.
Buy smaller shit.
Yeah, well, actually, I have a question for Pete. After watching Tuesday's commission meeting and the commissioner comments, I don't want to misquote. I think you said the streets are irreparable. Yeah. So, if that's the feel, I mean, I don't know if I disagree or agree. I mean, they're in bad shape, and I think I understand what you were saying. So then I don't know how to go forward with that from our point of view, or from this committee standpoint. If we're being told our streets are irreparable, then what suggestions would we have to repair them? I mean, if it's hundreds of millions of dollars.
Well, someone just removed all doubt on National Avenue. Those bricks will never be used for anything in the future.
Absolutely.
Well, they could be turned.
Well, they put grooves in them this deep.
Yeah, you would have to turn them all.
Or we could. Should we ask that whoever grooved them should just flip them over for us?
Yeah, it was a shame
guess.
they had to do that part of it.
Okay, something else new and exciting and different.
Nothing.
Okay, it's your turn. Yeah.
I'm just listening to you all.
I think mentally she's saying quit ignoring those bricks immediately south of the city offices. But I guess my main concern is that we're getting potholes fixed. We're preparatory. We're gonna, and like Gary was saying, we're pretty much laid out on the remainder of this year and next year. But I think the little report I have from the family 50 years ago that these Brick Street needs to be repaired, they haven't done it yet, and it's not going to happen until they're specifically addressed on an individual pothole basis, and we can no way afford it. We're going to have to develop a plan where we can do it, and that's the main thing I'm bringing here to the table is that we have said we want to see the brick streets downtown that are open preserved. It's the character and the feature of the town, and but no progress. And I'm certainly not blaming anyone because there are priorities that have to be done, and that's what we're doing. So anything, anybody anymore? Let's see. Since
I've got notes here of the organizations that we might consider sending out solicitation for input. I'd be interested if you think that we should either delete from this list or add to this list any other organizations. I would be glad to volunteer to draft some kind of a letter to share with you all before we send it out. But in terms of who we send it to, I've got the ambulance, I've got Fort Scott PD, Fort Scott Fire, Post Office, school bus drivers, and the trolley driver.
Are you talking about sending out a letter asking for their evaluation of what they
Give
think
us a
is the
street or
top?
two. Give us a
Street or two that's
that
the
you
most
think we
important
should
to them.
consider. Yes,
Yeah.
we should consider for 2023 capital improvement.
Okay.
Now, if they want to chime in with a nasty bad pothole somewhere, they could either go on the app or they could,
Let one of us know.
yeah, or just let one of us know. But I honestly think this is good public relations.
Mhm.
I mean, the
agree.
I would
idea
think
of-
you might want to consider in your letter what the already been approved for 2022.
Yeah, that they don't need to tell us what we've already.
Same thing, yeah.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. Could I also put the ones from 2021?
Sure.
Like Cooper and
Yeah, I'd list
National,
everything that's already there so they don't.
maybe like Horton.
Right,
So they don't have to tell us about that.
correct.
well, do you have a rough format for it, Mr.
No, I would
Mr.
volunteer to do that.
Uh-huh.
What I'm asking now is, to whom should the letter be addressed? Are there any other regular users of the street that you think would?
Well, I mean, those are all, for the most part, city or county, ambulance people.
I can't kill a cricket.
One, and I know that this certain business is the bane of Pete's existence when it comes to streets, but someone who drives the streets all the time are trash truck drivers. I know that they are individually, individual owned or whatever, privately owned businesses. They do drive the streets.
Yeah, you might need to help me identify,
I could probably help you with that.
that.
Oh yeah.
That.
But I'm trying to think of people who drive on the streets
Right.
on a
Right.
regular basis. And
Right.
We,
they do. I mean, now granted, I know that they go up the alleys in certain places, but like where I live, there is no alley. So that's not possible.
there, the Kiwanis Club has several times been involved with the school board for trim trees along bus routes. I think we've got something in process right now on that, maybe with some help from the help of a Good Neighbor Action Team. And that's another source of support and help of the labor force. The last time I was involved in this street, the tree repair for the school board, we had Westar there with their lift truck, and we were mostly moving branches and hauling them to the tree dump. So you probably, don't you face fairly often the general users problems? The city would hear about that more often than we, like the fire department. The police access, I don't know. And we could really go afield on put my mind in orbit about this stuff, because then I start thinking about the trash trucks. So you need to establish the parameters for our inquiry.
Well, it's streets, okay?
Yeah.
That's what, yeah,
Yeah.
so if that's okay.
Yeah.
Streets, and it would be with a view to, the 2023 list for nominated streets for capital improvement. Now, if they want to identify, some problematic potholes, that'd be okay too. But I'm looking for, so,
I think it's a good list.
anybody else that you can think of that we should?
I think you should, anyone, do I have a motion? Anyone move that we ask Charles to
Yeah, I'll do that. I make a motion that we allow Charles to send letters to the entities that we've named
With your
for,
permission, could I draft a letter?
absolutely.
Send that to each of you, or send it
Sure.
through Diane, so you'll all be able to see the letter before it goes out.
send it?
Sure.
Good
Yeah,
idea.
absolutely.
Send
Circulate it, and then
send
you
for-
all can,
for additions, ideas that might
Yeah, yeah.
come in.
I
Okay.
want it to be pretty simple, pretty straight, pretty direct.
Yeah.
Well,
And I
then,
want to make it emphasize it's voluntary. It's
Sure.
just one of those things. I don't,
Well,
but I'm
then-
trying to make sure we don't get a list of 20 streets from
Super.
the post office. I'm trying to get it so that each one of them focuses on the one or two ones that they really think stand out.
Okay.
And I will identify what we've done for 2021 to 2022.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, anyone opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Sure.
Do it to it.
Okay.
Okay. Well, we have I'm trying to, anyway, we have a commissioner, our favorite commissioner. Pete has agreed to give us a short talk on how things are rolling. Pete?
I wanted to address the board to clarify some of the things I said at the last commission meeting. And it is, after 2 years of study, I have decided, and I've come to the conclusion, that our streets in the city of Fort Scott were built for a different time and loads that we have today. Our streets were built in 1900, and the heaviest thing we had on the streets at that point in time were a team of horses and a wagon, and then we had some bicycles come along. And unfortunately, it was at that time when we built our streets, and we had dirt streets to start with, and then we decided to go with brick because we had 4 brick plants in the city. And so our method of building those streets was to put down a layer of sand over those dirt streets. And that layer of sand was about an inch, as I found out, about an inch thick. And then we laid our bricks over that sand. And that worked fine for 50-some years because we didn't have the heavy loads. And then in the 70s, the trucks started getting heavier. Westar trucks, which were then KG&E, but our trash trucks, 60,000-pound trash trucks running on brick pavement that were designed for horse and buggies just doesn't work, and it hasn't worked. And we've sat here for the last 50 years watching our streets deteriorate, watching them be destroyed by the heavy loads that we've had on them. And the streets just were not designed for the heavy loads we have on them today. And that's what I'm saying. The streets are not repairable. We cannot repair those streets. We can't fix that base from the top. Our only salvation is that we replace those streets with modern day engineering. Modern day engineering would require us to take those brick streets out, excavate 12 inches, stabilize the base that we find there, and then put in 8 inches of AB3 crushed rock and 6 to 8 inches of asphalt. And in no way have we have that with 4 inches of brick on 1 inch of sand. So we're way overloading our streets, and we all know that our streets are in terrible shape, and it's not just 1 or 2, it's all over town, it's everywhere. So it's all the brick streets, all the asphalt streets. Most of the asphalt streets are just bricks overlaid with asphalt, so we fix nothing when we overlaid them. I did a kind of a study, and I asked people to contribute on the condition of our brick street or all of our streets. And the consensus is that we have streets that we rate at about a 3.5 on a scale of 1 to 10. Overall, we come up with a 3.5. The 3.5 is way below standard. Standard would be drivable, would be a 5. Best streets would be a 10. And those would be brand new streets. And we sat here in 2020, and our capital improvement street program, we finished 1 block of street. This year of 2021, if we get them done, we'll have a total of 10 blocks, thereabouts, plus or minus. And we have probably 500 blocks of bad streets in the city of Fort Scott. And at the rate of 1 to 10 blocks a year, you can see where that's going to be. It's going to be 500 years before we get there, or 50 years. So my thoughts are that what we need to do as a city is to upgrade the streets we have. Try to through patch and repairs, overlays, and bring our streets up to a 5. I would like to think that with the program that I have laid out, that we can improve up to 100 blocks of our streets a year and bring them up to a 5. And that would make our streets drivable. And I think that would be make our people a whole lot happier than trying to rebuild 1 to 10 blocks a year. And so I think that our efforts now should be to work on the program of upgrading the surface of our streets and bring them up to a 5. Now, what we're talking about doing is temporary fix, because in no way do we have the funds to rebuild 500 blocks of streets. I did a estimate, and I figured out about $175,000 to $200,000 a block to rebuild those streets, curb and gutters both sides, excavate and put in 6 to 8 inches of base and 6 to 8 inches of asphalt. So we're talking about $200,000 a block to do that. And we can do a patch job such as we did over on Horton Street, and we can do that for about $1,000 a block. And that program is doable, and we have the machine to do it with, and we finally got the machine. Did we get the machine fixed and running and operable?
It's not optimal, but I think it's doable.
Well, if it's not- if it's
there's
not-
still some issues with the truck and the flow of the rock on hill surfaces, but we're still working.
But did
through
we
that.
get the heat problem?
Yeah, the heat problem is
Fixed
solved.
on the machine.
Yes.
So we had a problem with the machine that we didn't know about, developed when the trainers got here, that we found out about when the trainers got here. So we lost 2 weeks of production because the machine wasn't fixed properly, it wouldn't work. And so we've got that problem solved with the machine. We still don't have the problem with feeding the machine fixed, but that can be handled by an additional person shoveling the rock. And but we've on Horton Street, we went up and down Horton Street patching the major potholes. And I think you'll see driving on that street that you don't have to dodge the potholes anymore. And what we put in those potholes were called permanent patches. But the operation that I'm talking about is a two-stage operation. One is going through and patching the potholes and letting them cure, and then come back and do what I call a selective chip seal process over all the bad spots, over the humps and bumps and the alligator areas, which we know are not going to be a permanent fix, but we can make it drivable. We can make the drivability of the street a whole lot better by doing that. And if that lasts 2 years, 3 years, we would hope it would last 5 years, because figuring 100 blocks a year would take us 5 years to get the 500 blocks that we're talking about. So at that point in time, we would be ready to go back and start doing it over again. And that's short of spending $150 million to replace all the streets that we have bad right now. If we have $150 million to replace the streets, we also have to spend another $150 million to replace the sewers and the water lines. So we're not talking about small amounts of money. We're talking about huge amounts of money, money that we don't have, money that we'll never have. I don't think even the state could come in and bail us out. So we have to figure another way to do it. But in the meantime, we have to bring our streets up to that level 5 so that we can drive on them, so that people won't be tearing up their cars. And we can do that with the program that I've got kind of laid out here. And keep in mind, we're using an asphalt emulsion. I've been using asphalt emulsions in my running track business for 40 years. And I know what asphalt emulsions do, and I know what they won't do. There's certain restrictions that you have to set up. You can't put asphalt emulsions down on wet surface. You can't put asphalt emulsions down and let it rain on it until it's cured, and that takes anywhere from 24 to 48 hours, depending on the temperature that you have. So the material we're using is very finicky, but it's very good, and it's made professionally. Vance Brothers in Kansas City is one of the major suppliers of asphalt emulsions in the nation. And we're very fortunate to have them up there to advise us. And with the asphalt emulsions, there's different emulsions that we can use according to the time of year. We use a different asphalt emulsion in the spring and the fall than we use in the summertime. It's a slow set versus a rapid set. And so those are items that we have to take into consideration. But I feel that if we all can get with the program, and we dedicate a 4-man crew on this machine for those months from June 1 to hopefully September 30 to do the asphalt patching, that we can improve our situation a whole lot. And keep in mind, everything I'm talking about is temporary. It's all temporary patch because we're not fixing anything. We haven't fixed anything with asphalt overlays. We're not going to fix anything with mill and overlay. All we're doing is putting a Band-Aid on it. But those Band-Aids that we're talking about, we've been doing, and what you guys have been talking about and suggesting are Band-Aids. And we've just gone through some designs, bid with our engineers, have done some estimates, and believe you me, the prices are sky high. We simply cannot. The city of Fort Scott does not have the funds to bid out and do all the work that needs to be done. So we have to figure out some different way. We have to bidding and having contractors come in and do all of our work is virtually cost prohibitive. For instance, the block of alley behind the Union Block building there from Main to First, the estimate came in 9 times higher than the money we allotted for it. So there's just nothing to do. I mean, what do we do? I know our estimate on fixing Cooper Street, and it's a beautiful, beautiful job of engineering. It's one of the best engineered projects I've ever seen, and they did a great job on it. But cost effective, it's cost prohibitive. There's no way that we can spend that kind of money with the budget that we've got, and so we've got to think outside the box. We've got to when we're talking about capital improvements for 2023, I appreciate that, but where does that get us? I think we as a advisory board have to know and understand that doing 6 to 8 to 10 blocks a year is over a 50-year span with the budget that we have, and we don't have any streets out there right now that we can wait 50 years before we do something to. So I'm for pushing hard on this program, even if we have to start 2 crews doing it and buy another machine. We need to bring these streets up to where they're drivable, and we can live with that until somebody can figure out how that we can rebuild our streets.
You're talking about asphalt streets. What would you do with the brick streets?
No, I'm talking about the brick streets.
So you're talking about
Bricks,
the brick streets out?
brick streets, yeah, they're just nothing under Gary. There's nothing under there to support the weight that we're running over them. Now we can also do another thing, but the streets are already destroyed right now. I mean, they've crushed. I had a sample in here the other day of the sand. It's a cement sand mixture that's underneath the bricks, and you can pick it up and it'll just break. There's just no strength underneath the brick. And you know what happens when water gets in dirt. If you ever driven a truck down a dirt road in the summertime, when it's dry, you can drive right down. But when it rains, you get stuck because your tires sink down into the mud. And that's that's what we've got underneath the bricks right now. And the worst, as bad as they are right now, believe you me, they're going to get worse because we've got the big holes, we've got the cracks, we've got all of that's allowing more water in all the time. And then when we run those trucks over those wet streets, we just create more bad spots. So yes, I'm suggesting that we, financially we can't afford the brick streets. I'm suggesting that we do the historic district with brick streets, we rebuild that, and that's another issue. And then we have to eliminate, or we have to limit load limits on those streets. And so we have to decide, do we allow the heavy trucks run down there? All the trucks are heavier, or the cars are heavier, everything's heavier. But we're to the point right now where our brick streets are already destroyed, so that our only only means to fix that now is replace. So we have to figure out what we're gonna replace them with, and, whether it's gonna be, asphalt or concrete. Which, if we use either one, it's still gonna require a base. So, I think our design on Cooper Street is to excavate and fill, to bring it up to grade. And then we stabilize the base. We put 8 inches of base rock, AB3 base rock on, and then either 6 inches of concrete or 8 inches of, so one part of it is 10 inches of asphalt. And that's to be able to support the weight of those concrete trucks that run on there all the time. So what we're doing on Cooper Street, we're designing that for a 30-year street based upon the loads that's going to be put on them. Granted, in the residential district, the loads are not going to be as great as they are on that street. And so we can, the design would be a little bit less, but we're still talking about multi-millions of dollars of work to fix the streets, when we talk about fixing the streets. But we've been struggling with this Brick Street question for 50 years or more. Back in 1983, we had that discussion, and nobody has come up with an answer to the brick streets. And believe you me, nobody's going to come up with the answer to the brick streets, because there isn't any. And so we have to say, this is our policy, this is what we're going to do, and that's to get us by, bring them up to.
Right?
I'm sorry.
To destroy the brick streets.
That's
the solution.
That's the brick
Answer-
streets are
answer-
already destroyed.
So we're gonna just wipe them out.
That's I'm not suggesting that.
Have you,
Gerald.
okay,
I'm saying that's the, what are our alternatives?
Oh, okay. I guess the commission's aware of our position on brick streets, aren't they?
What's that?
Is the commission still aware of our position on brick streets?
I told them, I
We're-
told them at the Tuesday night meeting virtually the same thing
Yeah.
I've said
Well,
here.
we're committed to
And
keeping.
if
what
somebody
we
has a
have.
better answer, I'm all for it. Now,
Yeah,
I love the
okay.
brick streets, and the brick streets have serviced us,
Okay,
for many,
So-
many years.
so at this,
But we've come to the point where
at this point, thinking about getting rid of any of our present brick streets is not something we want to discuss. We want to know how things are with respect to what we can change out there. We've been told by experts what the what we spent on brick streets. For example, the cost benefit, bricks are so much cheaper than asphalt. Was I reading the reports that we received correctly? So we're not in favor of replacing any of the brick streets that we have. If we want to address our quick problems, let's address what we can. I think the pothole machine's doing a great job. But from the point of our historic district and the brick streets that we have here, we have been discussing that for months with this group, and we're not in favor of replacing the brick streets. And I don't think that we are. Am I wrong? Okay.
well, I
So
want to answer.
that's where this board is until the commission decides we're wrong.
Well, and again, we're here discussing it. Well,
Yeah.
I'm not here saying this is what we're
Okay.
going to do. I'm
That's-
saying, I'm pointing out, what our problems are.
And I
And if
appreciate,
you-
I appreciate that.
Regardless of whether we use brick, asphalt, or concrete, we have to go down and fix the base. We have to have a foundation
Uh-huh.
to build any of those on.
Yeah,
So,
and,
so
and we
that's
can-
that's where I'm getting at. The brick streets are on top,
and
you
8
know,
people up.
and our problem is on the bottom.
We can sit around and talk about what those 3 or 4 people with their feet on the streets should do, and accomplish nothing. But we have to address what we can achieve, and you have done that. You've done that well on Cooper Street. We've decided we need Cooper Street done, and you have attacked it, and you got the potholes, and you're on the way to finishing it. And I can see we can all see Horton Street developing like it is now. The holes that your car falls into are gone. The pothole machine has fixed it, and we're going to be on the trail of the rest of it. But
Well, Ralph, basically what I'm suggesting is that we put our funds into the patch and repair program so that we bring these 500 blocks of streets up to a 5.
So
And that's what, we just bring them up and we can do that.
I guess we're not, because, and that's what those of us here are, we want to clarify that we're not discussing the bricks here. They're here. I mean, unless the city commission votes against our opinion, then.
Well, I'm not asking for a decision here today.
I know you're not.
I'm here
Now,
saying
see,
I'm
we're
presenting
just
the problem,
yeah.
and
No one thinks you are, so we're good.
yeah.
So with what you're saying, then you don't want us, I mean, and I don't want to read anything in. I'm just saying, because we've outlined some areas that, that need to be fixed. And I know it's, like I said, it's 10 blocks, 12 blocks, whatever. Are you saying that we shouldn't have any capital outlay deals like that anymore?
No, I'm not saying that at all, but
Okay.
we need to be really selective as to where we use that money for capital outlay.
And that's what we've
because
been trying to do.
yeah,
I
we
just wanna
know
make sure.
We know that under any capital improvement program on a street, we're going to have to fix the base. We're going to have to fix the water lines. We're going to have to fix the sewer lines.
Sure.
So we got a lot of money, to spend there, and it just doesn't make sense to me to just take, for instance, National Street. A few years back, the city did 7 blocks of National and spent $7 million. Now, see, that is being pretty selective. 7 blocks when we got 500 blocks out here that needs to be patched and repaired or needs to have improvements, need to have storm water. There's all kinds of things that need to be done, and we cannot spend $7 million on 7 blocks.
Right.
We need to really be selective on what we do. We need to make that money go. We need to do innovative things, different things, but we need to do it right.
How much of that was the grant money?
I think that was a 50-50 deal. I think, I'm not sure, Charles. I can't tell you that for sure, but
You make it sound like the taxpayers paid $7 million for.
Well, I think the taxpayers put in $3.5 million. I think it was a 50-50 grant.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's generally what the grants will be, are 50-50 grants.
Well, I'm looking right now at 3 streets.
At what?
3 streets.
Uh-huh.
I'm not overwhelmed by the number of blocks. We've already talked here jokingly. You could throw a dart at a map of Fort Scott, and you'd hit a street that needs to be fixed.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
We're there.
Yeah, we're there.
But I'm interested in 3 streets right now.
Okay.
Osborne, not Osborne. Cooper, Horton, and National. Can somebody tell us where we stand?
Yeah, those are
with
being addressed right now.
Yeah. Can you tell me whether those are going to be completed? That work will be completed?
Well, I think we're just going out now for bids for the overlay on National. I think the decision's been made that we're not going to do the periphery work. We're not going to do the curbs. We're not going to do the gutters. All we're going to do is overlay the brick with asphalt. That's kind of the decision that the commission made. And that's going out for bid, and I think that's
I heard
that.
it was in Tuesday's meeting. You guys
yeah.
talked about it.
And
Still in this construction season?
we want.
I don't know. I would think that most of the contractors already have things pretty well hooked up for this
Well,
construction season.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but hopefully we can. And now there's 2 ways we can do that. We can either accept a bid and have somebody come in and do it if they can meet the time frame, or we can have the county lay it at the end of when they finish laying. And so
What's the time frame on Cooper?
Cooper Street, we we haven't gone out for bid yet, but the design is finished. And we have on Cooper Street, what we've done is we shifted that street over 15 feet to get it out of the front yard of those people's house that lives there. Our right of way went right up to their front porch. So we've managed to shift it over. And by efforts, well, Gary knows that what we've done over there because his property is part of that. And we've been donated 15 feet of property on the east side so we can shift it. But for that donation, we're giving that property owners on the west side 15 feet. So we shifted it over. So that required, we're having to move light poles, the power poles. And those were going to have to be moved whether we shifted it 15 feet or not. So what that's done, by moving it over, we've had to do all the deeds and all the abstracts, and we have to, make sure all the properties are ours.
So when we finish this construction season?
We're hoping, yes, that can be done. But again,
It's not been put out for bid yet.
it hasn't been. I looked today and it wasn't out yet, but it's on the list to go out for bids. And
Horton is gonna be chip and seal?
no, well, we're gonna chip seal with our pothole patch machine. It's not a full chip seal. It's a spot chip seal that we're gonna patch the bad areas as best we can. And but we're gonna chip seal from 6th Street to what is it, Lakin Drive, or the top of the hill up to where it's better.
But the whole street will not be chip and seal, it'll just be selected.
It'll be
areas.
selected areas where it makes sense that we do it with the machine. And that's a process that I hope to get started in
Is
the
that an
next.
engineer, did the city engineer recommend that?
I'm sorry?
Did the city engineer recommend that?
No.
What did the city engineer recommend?
They didn't recommend anything. Well, of course, they're gonna recommend tear it up and rebuild it, but we don't have the funds to do
Have they
that.
been asked?
Huh?
Have they been asked?
Yeah, they're with us on the use of the machine. And, I know I talked to Peter Earls and he said yes. So he said, I'm glad you're using that machine. And he said that is at best a temporary thing. And we know that, we all know that, but that's what we can afford to do. 6th to 8th Street, that's on the list of capital improvements to be done this year as well. And I think we just got a report Tuesday night from the engineer that we did core drills and found out that the depth of the asphalt's anywhere from 4 to 6, and we kind of figured out that the city is going to excavate that and get it down to the base and then figure out what we got to do from the base. So that's still in the design process. There, it hasn't gone out for bid
So
yet.
that'll be closed, it'll be torn up, it'll be closed until we figure out what to do next?
Not necessarily.
That's a major, I'm just asking.
I know
consider a
that.
Major arterial street.
That's not necessarily what we want to do. We are going to try to put it out for bid, see what the bids come back like, and if it's approved to have it new asphalt put down, then we will work with the contractors and figure out a timeline where we go in and the city goes in to take up the streets, and we have to look at the base of it to determine, and I'm not sure whether we're doing that in-house or a contractor will do it just yet, but we have to make sure that the base is good and then have it put down. But we want to do this and have Horton Street shut down for the shortest amount of time possible because we know it's a major thoroughfare. But the sad part about it is in order to do this, we have to shut down. It'll have to be shut down for a little while.
No, I understand, but tearing it up and then trying to figure out what to do doesn't.
Yeah, no, we want to try to time this so that as soon as we've got it excavated out, then the contractor would be coming back in to put the asphalt down.
Finally, what's the plan and time frame on National?
On that one, we don't know just yet because we don't have the bids back. As soon as we get the bids back on National, then we'll we'll know a little bit more about that.
I think the bid time frame is 3 weeks, I believe,
Yeah.
if I remember right.
Yeah, so,
So,
cause I think Diane's already sent those out.
yeah, that went out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a matter, I think she sent it, all three of them out. I think it was Cooper, Horton, and National,
No,
or maybe not Cooper.
Cooper hasn't gone out.
Okay,
And,
So it just-
well, it hadn't when I looked. I just looked this afternoon.
yeah. But I know National and Horton have probably been sent out, and so, like I said, about 3 weeks, we should know. We'll get the bids back, we'll open them up, and then they'll have to go before the commission to get their approval, and then we proceed from there.
Bill, do you remember when, and I know it wasn't your deal, when exactly was Cooper started?
We started Cooper,
February or March? Or was it after?
it was after February, it would have been mid to late March, is when it got started.
I think what I hear from people is that they're fearing it's going to turn into another Andrick from 2019 to 2020. Is that, I mean, is the timeline, what's the timeline for what's the timeline for Cooper?
For Cooper Street?
For Cooper, because
Well, the bid just went out today. And like Bill's saying, it's a 3 week time frame before we have the bids back. And then we have to get those bids back and then figure out how, how that fits in the budget. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. I don't know.
So it could, I mean, possibility it could be another Andrick from the year before, being open for 9 months to
well,
a year.
I would hope not, but if it is, we may have to go in there and do some temporary service. I can't speak as to finances as to how much money we have versus, I know the money that we've had budgeted is not going to cover the design that we have, so we may have to make some changes there. You're asking questions and I appreciate the questions, but I can't answer those questions. All I can do is say what I know.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
It may not be
but
answerable
I
today.
know we
Right.
haven't moved the poles out yet.
Yeah.
So the poles.
Well, I
have
knew
to be
Evergy
moved.
was happening to.
And
to
Evergy
move some
has to
stuff.
do that.
Right.
And
The
but they
worry would be that Cooper becomes a gravel street, gravel road.
Well, to be
Yeah,
honest with you,
yeah,
that
it-
would be better right now because the potholes on Cooper are terrible.
Cooper.
We are-
One that's not even a
We are keeping a very close eye on Cooper Street because we know that it's essentially gravel/dirt road
Right.
at the moment. So we're trying to keep a very close eye on it, especially right after rains, so that we can keep that graded and bladed, so that we don't
Was there a
do.
culvert that collapsed down closer to 23rd Street?
No,
That's
that
where the
is
bridge
that is a
narrows.
water main. That's a water main issue
And it's just
project
open.
that I'm trying to get my people over there, but I'm severely understaffed right now, so I'm having some difficulties getting over there to do what I need to do as far as water distribution goes. But I hope to get that going here sometime within the next week. I hope.
Well, are we still serving a purpose then by even looking at the 2023 capital improvement? This is
Right.
not going to substitute for potholes and maintenance. But these are the areas that we would be considering. targeting.
Well, we have money allotted to capital improvements from the 0.5% sales tax. So that money is still going to be there. We have money allotted for maintenance
Right.
on the 1% county sales tax.
Okay.
So we have funds.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, if we get $750,000, we want to make sure we stretch that as far as we can stretch it with something that does fit.
Yeah,
And,
I think what Pete's really, what he's trying to do is, like he said, there's 500 miles of streets out there. We can't attack them all, but we need to look at streets that need to be patched, and we need to look at streets that we can repair. So it's going to be kind of a twofold thing, maybe. Taking the money that we have coming in our budget and then figuring out, okay, this street needs repair, and we're going to have to look at them. We're going to probably have to do core sampling and, you know, and really look and try to figure out where the dollars are spent the best. You know, I know we've got some side streets that, you know, may have some potholes, maybe in pretty rough shape, but do we spend our money there or do we patch them? Those are the decisions that we got to make, and I think that's the point he's trying
Yeah,
to
that's,
make.
and you're right there. Right now, my priority would be patch and repair the 500 blocks more than replace 7 blocks or 10 blocks. You know, that's what I'm saying. We need to spread our money out where it'll do the most good and benefit the most people, and over that period of time. And what that's going to require is putting some of the emulsion patches over the existing brick streets, knowing full well that, and what I'm saying is these brick streets, in order to fix a brick street, we have to take up the brick street. So in the meantime, we put our asphalt emulsion over and patch those brick streets with asphalt emulsion, rather than spend thousands and thousands of dollars of trying to replace sections of brick streets.
What is the, on the sales tax issues, what do you have to spend that money on?
Streets.
It just says streets?
Yeah, well, yes,
anything?
exactly, it's streets. 90% of it, 90% of the 0.5% sales tax goes for street improvements, and 10% goes for parks, or I think
Okay,
that's
but
right.
parks.
And then on the county 1% sales tax, 90% goes for street
But it's not
maintenance.
divided up as the capital improvements or whatever, it's just streets.
No,
It can be
no,
repair.
it's on the 0.5%, it's capital improvements, and on the 1% county tax, we get 90% of that for street maintenance,
Okay.
and 10% goes to the general fund, I believe. And
Thanks, Pete. I think we're about concluded that part of it. I want to vote in favor of doubling Pete's wages as a city commissioner.
He's done a lot of work on it. Pays well.
And I appreciate everyone showing up, and it seems like we've achieved about where all we're going to do today. So we're going to review what your proposal, your document that you're going to have Diane send it out to us, see if we have anything to add or any comments. Then we have you're approved to take that and have Diane distribute the document. And if you see any further elements of it, don't we think that we should have let him just go with it. We feel that the latitude is there for that. I want to keep this meeting brief. I failed so far, but
Ready to move to adjourn?
yeah. Now do I hear a second?
I'd second.
Anyone opposed to adjourning? Thank you for coming, and we'll talk about. He's got good timing.